Hey, what's up, YouTube? Huge news. Huge news. Technically, going back to last night. I hate that when these things get broken. It's always like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., like random time, right? And then it's like right before I'm going to sleep. And it's like now I'm about to be up because like this adrenaline rush. But it is now official, right? It is now official that NIU has been offered a football-only membership to the Mountain West. Essentially, and I'm trying to remember if there was actually like an official something from coming from the Mountain West, but I mean, sources, and when I say sources, I mean like CBS has posted this. Like, I mean, I don't know what it takes to be considered more legit of a source when like CBS is literally posting about it. But yeah, I've been talking about this ever since it became a thing. But for some odd reason, we got the folks who just can't believe that any of this was going on. So now you have your proof. NIU had interest from the Mountain West. An inquiry was made. It was put out there by the commissioner of the Mountain West, Gloria Navarez, right? She did things the right way. She contacted the Mid-American Conference commissioner. Can't think of his name right now. I don't know what I want to say, like Steinbreck or something. I can't think of it right now. But she formally reached out and she said, my conference has interest in these two teams, NIU and Toledo. Right. NIU, I feel like NIU for the most part had always been the school with the higher likelihood of leaving the MAC. Right. We're the furthest west MAC school. You know, we're the school that, I mean, technically, since this is the Mountain West, right, for them, on the other hand, we would be considered the furthest east edition for the most part. But compared to us and Toledo, it's just like, yeah, like which school is more likely to part ways with the conference? NIU. And I feel like it's been NIU. The reason why Toledo would even have any interest is because, well, yeah, Toledo probably wants some money too. And if you can get NIU and Toledo, this is my thing, and I've been saying this from the get-go, you can't replace a Boise State. The only way people would have been viewing NIU as a replacement for Boise State is if NIU had ran the table this year and, you know, we went 13-0 or like 12-1 or something. Then people would be like, maybe the Mountain West is on to something. But in all honesty, if NIU was having that level of success, right, I don't think it would be the Mountain West coming after us. I think you would have, you know, we would have been contacted by the PAC or the American, you know, one of those two, if that was the case. Mountain West, and here's my thing. It's never been, oh, I'm against the Mountain West. The thing is, at the end of the day, I do care about NIU setting themselves up to make a move that makes the most financial sense. Like, if you're going to leave the safety net of the MAC, this is the conference you've known for the last 20-something years. This is the conference that, right, you don't have to fly to face any opponents, right? You hop in, you know, put your guys in a charter bus and hit the road, right? If you're willing to leave, then you're gonna have to start flying, right? Any of these teams we play, any of these away games, these are not going to be bus trips. And my thing became joining the Mountain West because they have a decreased, potentially, most likely, a decreased media rights deal on the way compared to what they currently have, right? That media rights deals will be decreased a bit. Nobody knows the actual number. Nobody knows the actual number, right? We're just all assuming. And you have to assume, speculate. You have to, hypothesize, right? You're losing Boise State, right? If you're not losing Boise State, different story, right? If the Mountain West had lost 5 schools, but Boise State wasn't one of them, I think you look at things differently. But because Boise State is essentially the highlight of that entire thing, like even when Boise State joins this new Pacific Athletic Conference, Boise State is instantly the best team. They are the premier team. They are the cream of the crop. They're the best team in that conference without being in the conference. It's that simple. They're better than Washington State. They're better than Oregon State. They're better. Clearly, they're the best team in the Mountain West already. So, yeah. It does hurt a bit. But here's the craziest thing. Boise State being able to achieve the success that they've achieved, them not having that media market hurts them at the end of the day. Them not having that particular academic status, right? I want to say actually NIU may be at the same status, right? Where we're not considered a, top tier research university, right? Like research goes on, like we do research, but we're not Big Ten. We're not ACC level, right? We're not, we just aren't. Like, yeah. Boise State isn't at that tier. We're not at that tier. Like we said, we know the thing that has worked out the best for them has been football. Like, if it's one thing Boise has been able to do is stay pretty consistent with football. I'm not saying like every season for them is this undefeated season. No. They don't pull that off 24/7, but they've clearly had some runs historically, right? But NIU also had a nice little historical run at one point, right? I've been sitting here arguing back and forth with people on Twitter all day, and it's so damn irritating because you get folks on Twitter, because this news dropped, you get people popping up all over the place. NIU isn't really that big, that's not really that big of a splash addition, right? And I see the guy's next comment because it was I can't even think of the whose page I was on. We were having this Twitter argument. And I want to say it was the Mountain West Twitter page, one that I think a lot of people have been following, listening to, following those posts and stuff. So he asks, what are your top recommendations? Like, if NIU isn't a solid addition for the Mountain West, then who are the solid additions for the Mountain West that you think this conference can snag? And then this guy proceeds to list off, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Montana. And it's just irritating because it's like, bro, like these are conversations we've had for months, right? And this guy just comes in, like I said, did everything in his power to make NIU just seem like the worst addition in the history of the world to the Mountain West. Like, nah, they're not really that great of an ad. And then goes to list 3 FCS schools. And don't get me wrong, any football fanatic, like anybody who follows college football, like who North Dakota State is. Shoot, you probably know who South Dakota State is. You probably know who Montana State is, or University of Montana, right? You know these schools, like they're good, they're really good at the FCS level. Like these are some of the top schools at the FCS level, so they're known, right? We just saw Colorado play North Dakota State this season, and low key, a play here, a fumble there. North Dakota State could have low key won that game. Colorado won, but North Dakota State, I mean, they held their own, right? And that game had a lot of viewership. A lot of people was watching that. It's like, here's Colorado versus basically one of the top 5 best FCS teams in the country. So this isn't going to be a simple walk in the park. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was like, no, this is Colorado versus, I mean, shoot, it might as well be Colorado versus a Mountain West team, right? It might as well be a Colorado versus a Fresno State, a UNLV, a Boise Junior, right? Because these teams are good, but they suffer from the same thing Boise suffers from. And you want to know what it is? It is the lack of a media market presence. Unless something astronomically changes in the United States of America, Chicago will more than likely maintain its status as the 3rd highest, biggest, largest rated media market in the country. And as long as Chicago is that, your Northwesterns, your Illinois, NIU, Notre Dame, all 4 of those schools, for the most part, will forever benefit, right? Especially Northwestern, NIU, and U of I. Like, we're in the state. Notre Dame, I've never understood why. Like, why the hell does Chicago treat Notre Dame like it's an Illinois school? Like, we just do. I don't get, like, there's so many people, like, that's just what it is. I don't know if it's an Irish thing. I don't know. But people love Notre Dame. That's just how it is. People love Notre Dame. And they're right in our backyard in a sense. So I just think it's just a Chicago thing. Like, Northwest Indiana is just a suburb of Chicago. And it's kind of funny because it's kind of true. Like, it really is. Like, Northwest Indiana is just a branch off of Chicago that's technically in Indiana jurisdiction. So, all right, Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame is going to get national coverage regardless, you know, they definitely benefit from that Chicago market. If a Notre Dame game is on, the bars around Chicago on a Saturday are most likely going to have that game on. That's really what it is. They're going to have the Notre Dame game. Of course, they're going to also turn on whatever other really big game. But if there's a Notre Dame game on, it's on the TV. And that's the impact that Notre Dame has. Right? Of course, they're going to play other local games. But Notre Dame gets just a special spot in the TVs of Chicago, of the Chicagoland area. The North Dakota states, South Dakota states, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana State, they don't have that one thing that truly is needed in today's game when it comes to expansion and realignment. I'm not talking about like, oh, these teams can't compete, these aren't good. We're talking about when it comes to money, the media rights deals, those things. You want to try to load your conference, if possible, with the best media markets that you can. That's the reason why, like, NIU was not a ticking time bomb, but it's like, it's just always been like, yo, NIU, like, We never had a chance of getting in the Big 12. We didn't. We don't have the attendance, right? We don't have the enrollment. We don't, right? There's certain things we don't have. But I always say, like, let's say the Big 12 had actually entertained it. Let's say the Big 12 had actually entertained it. What's crazy is we took the media market approach. We went that route, right? Because I remember that being the thing, right? How do we sell NIU to a power conference? How do we do it? Media market, right? We can play the games at Soldier Field. That's an option. That's something I'm sure we can make happen. Right? You know, we're a competitive team because and this was, like I said, this was all around the same span of time, 2010 to 2014. It was 2010 to 2014. NIU had an 81% win percentage from 2010 to 2014, an 81% win percentage. Now, did things begin to drop off a little bit after that? Yes, they did. Like, I'm not finna sit here and act like it continued on. These 10-win seasons, these 10-win plus seasons just continued on after 2014, after the 2014 season. But that is a 5-season stretch, 2010, 11, 12, 13. That's 5 years where you can say NIU was performing at a very high level. NIU winning the conference 2 years in a row, still to this day, I think it's actually something that has been pointed out at this point, is that no other team has been able to win the MAC 2 years in a row. And then I think somebody brought up, they were like, it's not even just win the MAC 2 years in a row. I don't think there's been another school to win their conference 2 years in a row. So you got to take a step back and be like, yo, was this team just that damn dominant, that good, where we really did pull off something that you haven't seen another school do in a hot minute? NIU. I don't know what it was, but God blessed our side of the field and continued blessing it and continued blessing it and has been continuing to bless it even in a 7-5 season. Like I said, there's a lot of people who reflect on this season and they're like, we're 7-5, but we beat Notre Dame. And it wasn't just we were 7-5 and beat Notre Dame. It was we were 7-5. We finished 7-5 and beat the number 5 ranked Notre Dame. As badly as, you know, we might have been like, we should be winning the conference. It's like when you beat the number 5 ranked team in the country, the expectations and standards clearly go through the roof. That means your team is so good that nobody else on this schedule should be able to touch you. And clearly we found out the next game that is not true. And then we found out the game after that. And then we got back onto the winning side of football. But it was like a lot happened in a very short time. A lot happened in a very short time. I think a lot of people are going to go back and be like, I wish we didn't have that bye week. And I agree. I agree. You have that bye week after the biggest win in school history, the biggest win in conference history. Like, you have too much time on your hands. We just had too much time. We needed to come off that win and then play the next team. And then maybe you throw in a bye week, right? And then we go through the next stretch of games. But it hurt. Like, we won that game and then you got to bye. And then like everybody, social media, the whole world is just like talking about NIU beat Notre Dame. And it's even still today, the fact that Notre Dame is in the college football playoff. The one thing, if Notre Dame wins the national championship, if Notre Dame messes around and wins it all, NIU can say, we beat the team that would go on to win the Natty. We are the only blemish on that team's record, and nobody can take that away from us. Not a soul. Nobody can take it away. I know, like I said, there's people who, no matter how many times we run this back, they will take a 7-5 win season in a Notre Dame. I will too. That's the reality I'm coming to. I hope we go out there, we win this bowl game, and we keep it moving. Right, we finish 8-5, nice little solid season, and now we need to focus on next year, because I'm not even going to get into all the transfer portal stuff, but it's like, man, this is getting scary, because to have as many guys graduate as we have, but then now you have guys who would be the key components to next year just all jumping in the portal. And it's like, the crazy part is like, each and every player and the players' parents and families, they're like, Coach Hammock, Coach Benedetto, Coach, the best coach my kids ever had. I'm like, do you know how bittersweet, double-edged sword kind of slap to the face, like a backwards compliment, like a backhanded compliment, to be like, these are the best coaches my kid ever had. But like, your kids in the like, they're gone. Like, what's the point of giving the compliment if your kid ain't gonna finish the mission? And it's nothing against the kid, because it's nothing against the student athlete. It's nothing against their family. It's nothing against our coaches. It is this system, that this transfer portal. Like I said, I'm not even trying to get into this. But yo, this got to be regulated. We got to get some rules. We got to get something going. Because I'm like, yo, NIU at this rate, God forbid we go 9-3 next year, and we just have an outstanding offense, outstanding defense, right? The 3 losses we had were nail-biter losses, right? And just imagine, it's a roster full of, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, everybody, right? We don't got very few, like, of course there's going to be some seniors, but let's say that roster is full of a lot of young guys, a lot of young talent, and they showed up. Sad reality is, the way this transfer portal is working, if for some odd reason that's how things go down next year, it's almost guaranteed you're going to end up with a bunch of those dudes in the portal again. And you're going to be like, how? Why? You're on a winning team. That it's only going to get better. The team gets better the longer you stay. Why not run it back? If you go now, if this team wins 8 games next year, they win 9 games next year, God forbid they win the conference next year. If this team does that, and then all these dudes go and hit the portal, I don't even know what to say anymore. Because now it's just like, you're going to NIU, you're getting developed, right? And then it seems like some agent pops up, and they're like, you had a hell of a season, but I can get you paid. That's all it takes. That's what it seems like. It's like, you had a hell of a season. You got 3 years of eligibility left. You're in a really good spot. You were a starter as a freshman. You were a starter as a sophomore. You made the all-conference this, all-conference that. You're at NIU. I can get you to U of I. I can get you to Wisconsin. I can get you to the SEC. So wait. You go tell a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, I can get you to one of these power conference schools and get you some money. They're not turning it down. You go tell some dude, like for instance, I'm not even gonna manifest this because I almost said a name. I'm not gonna say the name. Let's say we have some freshman wide receiver who balls out during the summer, and then Hammock is like, nah, this kid, we got to have him on the field, right? We got blessed. We got a guy who's able to fill in, who can be that next Trayvon Rudolph, who can be the next right? I mean, they'll be their own guy, right? We got a stud, right? That kid is starting. That kid is putting up numbers. He's a playmaker, this, that, the third. Like I said, true freshman, or maybe he's a redshirt freshman. Who knows, right? He's just balling out. That kid is going to get swooped up. Like he wins freshman offensive player of the year. He makes the all-conference team, all-MAC first team. Who knows what? Right, he messes around and makes some sort of national list as a freshman. It ain't impossible. It can happen. Who knows? That kid's gone. That kid is gone. And it's not because the coaching was bad or this, that, the other, or it's going to be, we want to sign you. I know 15 schools right now that are willing to pay you some good money. A kid like that, you go throw $300,000 into their account, they're gone. They're gone. 100,000, 200,000, that kid's gone. And the sad part is they might get paid that, be gone, and then not even see the field the next year. But then, they're not going to be that mad and that upset because, I got paid. So it's even more difficult because the motivation used to be for when a player transferred, it was at least, I'm transferring because I'm not getting any of the playing time that I said I would get, that was promised to me, or this, that, the other. I know I'm better than but I'm just not getting a fair shot. I want to go somewhere where they want to put me on the field right away. I want to go somewhere where I can have an impact right away. And the kid transfers, they're gone, and they see the field. They're playing. They're actually, we had an NIU player who I think was playing tight end for us, ends up playing defensive end at Florida. And I'm like, wait, what? Because I heard the name, and I'm like, that name sounds real damn familiar. Having a breakout season at Florida. He just balling out in Florida. But I'm like, it was at NIU where they began transitioning him from tight end to DN. They began the transition from moving him from this to this. And I'm like, damn. The wild part is we moved him from one position, from the offensive side of the ball to the defensive side of the ball. We didn't never even get to put him on the field. He transferred out. I'm like, I don't know what was going on. Maybe it's something behind the scenes on that one. But like I said, he ends up in Florida, if I remember correctly, and is down there wrecking shop. So it's like if he had stayed at NIU with this dude, it seems like he would have had a monstrous season if he was still in DeKalb. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Let me get back on track. Like I said, NIU officially gets that offer. It's official at this point that NIU has been offered a football-only spot in the Mountain West. And like I was saying, it started to become situation for me where I was like, NIU shouldn't take that offer. Nothing against the Mountain West, but is it worth leaving if NIU isn't going to get a decent payout? Because we would not be joining as a full member. If we were joining as a full member, we get a full payout. We're not joining as a full member, we don't get a full payout. It's that simple. That's how it works. So now you got to sit here and be like, yo, like, this might not be worth it. Because a lot of things, I don't want to say there's red flags, but the Mountain West, like I said, it seems like their projected media rights deal, when it happens, will more than likely not be the same as it was right now, and it'll likely be less than that number. So, right, like, it's just like, nah, this ain't worth it. It's not worth moving. It's not worth leaving. The only way to be worth it is if some way, somehow, the Mountain West is like, we will give you XYZ% of the pie, which will basically come out to, be in this certain amount, and it's just football only. From what I've heard is apparently, supposedly, that's kind of what the situation is. I don't think it's NIU's getting a full amount, a full cut for being a football only member, but they're getting significantly more than what typically would be gotten by a school that's essentially a partial member, right? A school that's not a full member, right? Hawaii was in that same position where Hawaii was not a full member. Hawaii has now, right, they're transitioning over to being a full member. So all their sports are coming over. So NIU would actually be getting more of a payout than Hawaii had been getting for who knows however long that they've been in the Mountain West, right? Just as a football only member. I'm assuming, people had to come to some sort of agreement. But I feel like when these things happen, like the way I view this, for that offer to be sent to NIU, I'm pretty sure the commissioner, Mrs. Navarez, that was something that was communicated, and I'm assuming agreed upon by the other schools. This was not just she's finna go make moves and do things she wants to do. This is something that I'm pretty sure every school agrees upon doing. So for all of these schools to be like, yes, give NIU this percentage instead of this percentage for a football only member, to me that tells me they want NIU. They view NIU as a school of value to the point where, right, we just had Hawaii, who we were only given this amount for years. And even, let's assume Hawaii also was in agreement, like, yeah, go ahead and give them, right? For a school to be like, yes, pay them more than you were paying us. Sounds crazy, but if you value that team and value that program and what they can bring and what they can add and how they can help the conference, yeah, I'm willing to make a concession to get them in the fold, to get them in the mix. So that seems like that's what's happening. That number, whatever it is, it has to be more than whatever the potential MAC number is going to be. And if that's the case, then the Mountain West is an option. It's that simple. The Mountain West is an option. Here's what I do think is happening. So today is, I guess you can say, is more of like the official day one of, well, NIU has the offer. What's NIU going to do? NIU has the offer. What is NIU going to do? All right, we can say that this is officially day one of that. If I am an athletic director and I see the landscape and what's going on and all those things, I get this offer because, yeah, I get this offer. The Mountain West is willing to add our school, just football, and they're willing to pay us even more than what you typically would get as a football-only member. Hey, PAC, Pacific Athletic Conference. We don't know what number y'all are going to be, but hey, PAC. We would like to move as a full member, right? We've gotten an offer from the Mountain West. We're interested, but our preference is full membership. The problem is there's also this financial part, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, there's communication. I would think, I would believe, I would hope that that's what's happening, right? Because you notice this day is going by and it's not like NIU has officially accepted the offer from the Mountain West. NIU will be joining the Mountain West Conference in 2026. That's not what's going on. That doesn't seem like how things have gone down. It seems like NIU has an offer. I'm not sure if NIU has to respond by a certain day, this, that, the third. But NIU is doing their due diligence, it seems like. And like I said, I would hope there's some communication happening between, out of respect, right? Because like I said, you have to do best for your school. And in this current landscape, money is the motivator. It always has been. But nowadays, now more than ever before, money is the motivator. NIU has to be contacting the PAC. NIU may potentially be contacting the AAC. The thing that makes it difficult with the AAC is to contact the American Athletic Conference, you're kind of more going based off of a what if. There is no proof or truth that the American Athletic Conference schools will be getting snatched up by the PAC or any other conference. Not just yet. But you probably are communicating with the AAC and you're like, we have interest in joining your conference. We would like to be a full member. Like, we want to keep all of our programs together in the same conference. That's our preference. Are you interested in adding us? This is what we can bring to the table, right? We know there's some things, some areas of improvement we can work on, this, that, the other. But I think this change would be extremely beneficial for both parties, right? There is no situation where NIU joining another conference would negatively impact NIU. It doesn't. People have to come to the reality that if we're ranking these conferences, if we're really putting them in order, that is Conference USA is essentially at the bottom. And then it's the MAC. And then it's Sunbelt. So literally it's Conference USA, MAC, Sunbelt. Sunbelt is higher than us. Whether you want to believe it or not, the Sunbelt is higher than us. And then, before everything crazy started happening, then you could have said Mountain West and then AAC. Or between those two, I want to say, between those two, I want to say that maybe the Mountain West still just had a slight edge The Mountain West might have still been slightly better than the American Athletic Conference. But now, right, let's be a little bit realistic and go based on what's happening right now, right? After the Sun Belt, you now have the Pacific Athletic Conference. There's some people trying to argue that, oh, well, no, the Sun Belt may be better than the Mountain West now. I think I said Pacific Athletic Conference. I'm going to say Mountain West. Sun Belt isn't better than this retooled Mountain West. I still don't see it. I still think you have the schools you have, the programs, the footprint, right, still puts Mountain West ahead of those bottom three, right? Like I was saying, you now have Mountain West, and then you have the American. So at least now it's pretty clear cut that the American is outranking the Mountain West. Because like at one point it was like, there was no real way to tell, right? There was no real way to tell. You could say that the American was better because it was like, well, yeah, the American had Houston, they had UCF, and they had Cincinnati. And clearly what got UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston into the Big 12 was clearly they were performing at a high level. So during that stretch of time, you could probably say the American was better than the Mountain West. But then again, at the same time, on the other side of the country, the other half of the country had the Mountain West. You had, of course, I think there was a stretch where you had like San Diego State was performing at this like just really high level. Of course, you had Boise. You had, right, like, it was like it was bouncing back and forth. It's like, put it like this. You have really good Mountain West schools, and you have really good American Athletic Conference schools, right? So, once again, like I said, Conference USA is at the bottom, and then the MAC, and then the Sun Belt. You can kind of sort of say, I guess, Mountain West now, and then American. And to be honest, if we're being honest, this new pack is the best of this group of six. It is. It is. You took some of the stronger Mountain West schools, you added them onto two former power conference schools in Oregon State and Washington State. And then they've also gone and added Gonzaga, right? Gonzaga doesn't have a football team, but Gonzaga is one of the top ranked basketball teams like every year. So it's like they really did make this conference pretty damn strong. And the way things are looking, like I said, if the pack, if they get some sort of media rights deal that's like a 10 mil payout, the AAC is going to get poached. There's no way to know that the Mountain West won't still get poached. Like, people truly believe that, like, the Mountain West, depending on what this payout ends up being, you can still see a school like UNLV jump to the pack. It could still happen. At least that's what people were saying. That's what people believe. They're like, it can still happen. But, right, if any of this stuff happens and any of this goes down where you end up with the pack and then they go and snag Memphis and Tulane and UTSA or Texas State, and, you know, like, it's, you got to look at these things realistically. NIU is in a better place, joining the Mountain West. But NIU could maybe position themselves to join the pack, to join this, to join that. NIU, like, you got to just be able to present this the right way. I'm coming to the table. What do we have to offer? Right? You want to do a football-only offer for us? We get it. Like I said, the preference is all sports. We want to build these programs up. We just need the platform. We just need the conference to start that build and get that going. Because at the end of the day, you got to think about it like this. You have kids who just straight up won't even look your way because It's the conference. The best talent in Chicago becomes extremely difficult to keep in state because everybody knows Chicago is a basketball hotbed. So you're competing against the entire country. But here's the crazy part. You got all sorts of other really good players who aren't under the national spotlight. Maybe they're on more of a regional spotlight, right? Those kids, they go to U of I, they go to Northwestern. They still go to these Big Ten schools. They may not be the huge name, but they still go. But NIU don't even get, they don't even, like NIU's not even on that kid's radar. You change the conference, there's maybe a bit of a change that can happen once that change happens. That's how that works. People care about who they compete against. They do. They care about who they're competing against. They want to be able to get on that spotlight, that stage. Things change. And these are the facts. That's how it works. These are the facts. If I'm Frazier, there's no way between today and maybe the end of the week. There's no way that correspondence, that communication isn't happening. You got to do the due diligence and see if you can make something happen. And then if this comes down to what it is either you join Mountain West or you stay put. At least we did our due diligence to see if any other options were available. So now you got to do some soul searching. Look at the pros, look at the cons. Are we truly willing to go into this? Is there a way out of this if things start looking a certain way? Yeah. So other than that, like I said, things are real now. Actual offers have happened. Like we'll find out what's going on soon enough. Peace.